I welcome you all once again. I welcome you all once again to another session of history. As you all know, my name is Ijaz Ahmed. So let's get going, and we shall continue from where we had left in my last class, that is yesterday. So before proceeding with the class, first of all, I would like to tell you guys to follow I would like to request all of you to follow our WhatsApp group and Telegram group. If you follow, okay, and how will you follow? How will you join these two groups? You can join these two groups by clicking on the link which has been shared in the description, okay, in the description below this video. And if you join these two groups, okay, if you join these two groups, you can get the PDF of today's class, as well as you will stay updated, okay, you will stay updated about a lot of things. So now I would like to tell you, I'd like to tell you guys about this wonderful initiative that CSAP, or Civil Services Achievers Point, has brought for you guys. That is Interview Guidance Program for APAC CCE 2022. And this interview guidance program has got a lot of features. In fact, two of the features, it has got many legs, and two of the legs have already started, and both were huge successes. Okay, the first leg, that was a YouTube live session which was conducted by none other than Sri Robin Kolita sir, who is IRTS retired, former director IRCTC, and former external member APAC interview board. Okay, it was a YouTube live session, and we got a very good response. Okay, we got so many questions were being asked by the ones who are planning or who are expecting to sit in the interview of the APAC civil service examination this time, and we got a very good response from those aspirants. The second YouTube live session was also, it was conducted successfully by none other than, he's a very big name, by none other than Sri Anil Swarup sir. He's a retired IAS officer. He was the former coal secretary of India. Okay, he was the former coal secretary of India. Besides being a very renowned author, he has also written many well-known books. Okay, and apart from these, to the interview panel will also be having, okay, the final interview panel, which will be conducting mock interviews, one-to-one sessions. We will be holding one-to-one sessions wherein we will be training the candidates. Okay, we will be training the candidates in order to help them the last round of this APAC examination. And the interview panel will also have another very distinguished guest by the name of Sri Omiyo Kumar Bura. He was the former APAC chairman. Besides that, we shall also be having, okay, Sri Rajdeep Lekharu sir. He is the director of CSAP, and apart from him, we will also be having Sri Jepul Kolita sir. He is one of the senior faculty members of CSAP, and I will also be one of the members of this interview panel. Now let's get proceeded. Okay, now yesterday, okay, if you remember, in my last class we ended the class. Okay, in my last class we ended the class by talking about Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, we spoke about how Chandragupta Maurya established the Mauryan Empire, and after establishing the Mauryan Empire, how did he expand the Mauryan Empire. Okay, today we shall be starting the class by talking about the successor of Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, by talking about the successor of Chandragupta Maurya, and then obviously we shall talk about none other than Ashoka the Great. So let's first talk about the successor of Chandragupta Maurya. Now, who was the successor of Chandragupta Maurya? Chandragupta Maurya was succeeded by his son. By the name of Bindusara. Chandragupta Maurya was succeeded by his son by the name of Bindusara. Now this Bindusara is also important for us. Now we need to know a few things about Bindusara. Okay, who was Bindusara? He was the son and successor of Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, Chandragupta Maurya was the founder of the Mauryan Empire. Now there are a few things which we need to know about Bindusara. Ami Bindusarar bikhoye kisuman bostu janibo lagibo. Okay, number one, this king by the name of Bindusara, he has the, Bindusara is also, he maintained contacts, he maintained ties with foreign kings. He maintained ties with foreign kings. Okay, he maintained ties with foreign kings. If you guys remember, in my last class, I spoke about how Chandragupta Maurya also established diplomatic relations with Seleucus Nicator. Now, the ties which were established by Chandragupta Maurya, his successor and son Bindusara, okay, Bindusara did not snap those ties. He did not break those ties. He also maintained the same kind of cordial relations with the foreign kings, and we have an evidence of that as well. Okay, we have an evidence of that as well. We have discovered, or we have a conversation. Okay, we have a conversation recorded. We have a conversation recorded. Okay, we have a recorded conversation which took place, or we have a conversation recorded between Bindusara and a contemporary foreign king by the name of Antiochus the First. Okay, ami eta conversation uddhar koribole hoikhom hoisu. We have recovered a conversation which is believed to have taken place between Bindusara and his contemporary king by the name of Antiochus. Antiochus the First. Antiochus the First. Antiochus the First. Who was Antiochus the First? Let me also tell you this, that Antiochus the First was the son of Seleucus Nicator. Okay, the same Seleucus Nicator who was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya, and after that defeat, Chandragupta Maurya had established cordial relations with Seleucus Nicator. Now, Antiochus the First is none other than the son of Seleucus Nicator, and he is a contemporary of Bindusara. And Bindusara also establishes cordial relations with Antiochus the First. How can we say that? We can say this because we have found a conversation which had taken place between these two kings. And in that particular conversation, okay, what is that conversation all about? Okay, what is that conversation all about? In that particular conversation, Bindusara is requesting, okay, in that particular conversation, Bindusara is requesting three things. He is asking for three things from whom? He is asking for three things from Antiochus the First. Okay, Bindusara Antiochus the First or pora tinta bostu bisarise a conversation to. Okay, he must have written a letter or something. Okay, he writes to Antiochus the First asking for three things. Now, what are those three things? What are those three things? Number one is sweet wine. Okay, sweet wine. Then dry figs and sophies. These are the three things. These are the three things Bindusara asks for from Antiochus the First. Okay, sweet wine, dry figs, and sophies. Okay, we all know the meaning of sweet wine. Let's understand, or let's interpret this for alcohol, sweet alcohol. Okay, sweet wine. The second thing that he asked for was dry figs. Dry figs is kind of a dry fruit. Okay, in Persian or in a more popular language in India, it is better known as anjeer. Anjeer buliko. It's available in the market. So he was also asking for dry figs, because dry figs is available in plenty in West Asia. It is not, it does not intrinsically, it's not an intrinsic, it's not an intrinsic dry fruit of India. Okay, it is more popular, it is more available in Western Asian part. So anyway, he's also asking for dry figs, and he's also asking for sophies. What is the meaning of sophies? Sophies means teachers. So he writes to Antiochus the First asking for these three things. And in return, in response to this conversation, Antiochus the First, he accepts, okay, he agrees to give Bindusara two things, but he denies giving Bindusara one thing. He refuses to give Bindusara one thing. Now, he agrees to give dry figs. He agrees to give dry figs and sweet wine to Bindusara, but he refuses to give sophies to Bindusara. And he also gives the reason as to why is he refusing to give sophies. And Antiochus the First lets us know that he cannot give Sophies or teachers to Bindusara. He cannot send teachers or Sophies to Bindusara as it goes against the Greek culture. It was not a practice, it was not a Greek practice to trade in Sophies. Are you guys getting me? It was against the Greek culture. So he could not give Sophies. But other than that, he gave the other two things. Okay? He gave the other two things as requested by Bindusara. So this conversation that had taken place between these two rulers, okay, it confirms, it establishes, or it firmly establishes the fact that Bindusara must have had cordial relations with Antiochus the First. Okay, very, very important point. And now the Greek accounts, because Antiochus the First was a Greek. Antiochus the First was a Greek. So we find the reference of this king in Greek accounts also. Greek accounts also refer to this Mauryan king. Greek accounts refer to Bindusara. Greek accounts refer to Bindusara by the name of Amitrochates. This is the name. Okay, this is the name Greek accounts refer to Bindusara as. This is the name Greek accounts refer to Bindusara as. Okay, Greek accounts use the name Amitrochates for Bindusara. Greek accounts. And if you translate this into Sanskrit, if you translate Amitrochates into Sanskrit, it becomes Amitraghat. Amitraghat. So Bindusara was also known as Amitraghat. Mitra means friends. So Mitra would mean enemies, and Ghat means to destroy. So if we translate this into English, it will become destroyer of enemies. Amitraghat means destroyer of enemies. But the word which was used by the Greeks was Amitrochates. This can be asked in the examination. Okay, this can be asked in the examination. Apart from this, we also know that Bindusara, he reconquered. It is said that historians are of the opinion that Bindusara reconquered vast regions in Deccan. He reconquered vast regions in Deccan. In my last class, I remember telling you, moi apnalokok koisilu je Deccan area to, it came under the Mauryan control during the reign of Chandragupta Maurya himself. But maybe due to certain reasons, while Chandragupta Maurya was not that powerful, or maybe after the death of Chandragupta Maurya, that area may have slipped out of their hands. And when Bindusara came to power, he again brought that area under the control of Mauryan Empire. So I'm using the word reconquered. He reconquered vast regions in Deccan, Bindusara. Okay, and a very interesting thing from the point of view of art and culture. Bindusara is said to have joined the Ajivika sect. Okay, Bindusara is said to have joined the Ajivika sect. Okay, if you watch one of my YouTube videos, you will find the meaning of Ajivika. What is the meaning of Ajivika sect? Ajivika sect or Ajivika is a religious group, okay, which was a contemporary of the other religious groups like Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka and all. Ajivika. The origin of Ajivika can be traced back to the age of Mahajanapadas or maybe even earlier. But during the age of Mahajanapadas, we come across this word Ajivikas. A very, very important religious group. Today, they may not be present as such, but one of their greatest philosophies is very, very popular even today. That is what? That is the concept of Niyati, because Ajivikas are very famous for giving the concept of Niyati. Okay, Niyati can be attributed to the Ajivika group. Niyati, fate, bhagya, okay, destiny, kismat, all these things mean the same. So this was given by Ajivika. So it is said that Bindusara had become a follower of the Ajivika sect. Okay, Bindusara had become a follower of the Ajivika sect. And this piece of information may be correct. How can we say that this piece of information may be correct? Because this piece of information, it seems to be correct because if we go slightly ahead in time, আমি দেখা পাও যে Ashoka the Great, when Ashoka the Great comes to power, he builds, see, Ashoka the Great builds the first man-made rock-cut cave, okay, by the name of Barabar Caves, Barabar Hills or Barabar Caves. Okay, in fact, two of the earliest man-made rock-cut caves are Barabar Hills and Nagarjuna Hill Caves. And both these Barabar and Nagarjuna Hill Caves are today located in the Gaya district of Bihar, G-A-Y-A, Gaya. Bhalke hunibo, okay, listen to me very carefully. Gaya is the name of a district. And both these are not the first natural caves. Please be careful, I am using the word man-made. These are the earliest examples of man-made rock-cut caves. Pahar kati kati bonua. Man-made or rock-cut caves. These are not the first examples of natural caves. These are the first examples of man-made caves. They were built intentionally. Barabar and Nagarjuni caves, they are today located in the Gaya district of Bihar. Barabar caves were constructed by Ashoka the Great, and Nagarjuni caves were constructed by his grandson by the name of Dasarath. And both these caves, Barabar as well as Nagarjuni caves, were dedicated to the followers of the Ajivika sect. They were built as a place of residence for the Ajivika monks. Now, since Ashoka is doing so much for the Ajivika monks, not just Ashoka, even his grandson is doing so much for the Ajivika monks. So, these two are generally considered to be a strong evidence to suggest that one of their ancestors, or let's say the father of Ashok, was a follower of the Ajivika sect. Otherwise, why would they build such, why would they spend so much of money? Okay, why would they spend so much of money and build such caves for the followers of the Ajivika sect? So these are the things, okay, these are the things I want you guys to keep in mind. Okay, these are the things I want you guys to keep in mind. Now, let's move forward. Okay, now let's move forward. Now see, there is another thing, okay, there is another thing that I want you guys to keep in mind, and that particular thing is, so we are more or less, okay, we are more or less done with what? We are more or less done with Bindusara, okay. Bindusara is a very important king, but not as important as Ashoka. Okay, he may have been a very important king, but he was not as important as Ashoka. So now, without any further delay, now that we are done with Bindusara, let's start with Ashoka the Great. Now that we are done with Bindusara, let's start with Ashoka the Great. So Ashoka the Great, as we all know, Ashoka the Great, the general view is that most of the historians agree to this view that Ashoka the Great was not just the most important ruler of Mauryan period, but he is also largely considered to be the most important ruler of ancient India. Okay, Ashoka the Great. Now, why was he so important? Why was he so important? I will come to that. Why was he so important? I will come to that. But before coming to that, we have to know the background story. And I've already told you the background story behind, I think in one of my previous classes, I told you guys about the background story. But anyways, I will tell it again. Okay, I will tell it again. Remember, in my last class, when I was talking about the sources, sources which help us reconstruct this part of ancient India, that is, sources which help us reconstruct ancient India, or sources which help us reconstruct Mauryan period, then I was talking about certain Buddhist texts. And two of those Buddhist texts, that is Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. Okay, Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. Okay, I had written these words in my last class also. Mahavamsha, Mahavamsha and Deepavamsha. Mahavamsha and Deepavamsha. Okay, now Mahavamsha and Deepavamsha, these are very important. Okay, these are what? These are Buddhist texts. These are nothing but Buddhist texts. These are Buddhist texts. These are Buddhist texts which were written where? These are Buddhist texts which were written in Sri Lanka. Okay, these are Buddhist texts which were written in Sri Lanka. Mahavamsha and Deepavamsha. Now, why am I writing the names of these two Buddhist texts? Because these two, according to these two Buddhist texts, Ashoka, okay, according to these two Buddhist texts, Ashoka was not the preferred successor. Okay, Ashoka was not the preferred, he was not the, in English we call it heir apparent. In English we call it heir apparent. What is the meaning of heir apparent? Heir apparent means the chosen successor of a ruling king. Okay, a king, when he is the king, okay, when a king is in power, he chooses his own successor who is supposed to succeed him. So according to these two texts, Ashoka was not the chosen successor. I mean, he was not the preferred successor of Bindusara. Ashoka was not the first choice to succeed Bindusara. Or in other words, Bindusara did not want Ashoka to succeed him. Okay, Bindusara did not want Ashoka to succeed him. So, how did then Ashoka come to power? And see, we can also, this thing that Bindusara did not want Ashoka to be his successor, it doesn't appear to be too flimsy an argument. It is not that flimsy an argument, or it is not that weak. Imanu weak argument no, because certain events hint at the fact that maybe indeed Bindusara did not want Ashoka to be his successor. What are those events? Event number 1. Ashoka was appointed as the governor of Takshila, as well as he was appointed as the governor of Ujjain. Now Takshila and Ujjain is in present day Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Takshila is in modern day Pakistan. Now we know that both Takshila and Ujjain were very far from the center of political activities. And the center of, or the nucleus of political activities during the Mauryan period was Patliputra. Okay, no king would keep his successor in a far off place like Gandhar and Ujjain. A king will always try to protect his successor, because a lot depends on his successor. So because Ashoka was posted as a governor in these two far off places like Takshila and Ujjain, historians are of the opinion they have used it as a tool to validate the argument that indeed Ashoka may not have been the chosen successor of what? Chosen successor of Bindusara. Anyway, the Buddhist texts say the same. And the Buddhist texts also say that, now comes the most interesting part. The Buddhist texts also tell us that since Ashoka was not the chosen successor, so it was not easy for him. It was not easy on his part to become the king or the emperor. So he had to kill 99 of his brothers. These two texts, Deepavamsha and Mahavamsha, which were written in Ceylon or Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was also known as Ceylon. Ceylon. It was also known as Ceylon once upon a time. So these two books were composed. Okay, these two books were written in this place. Okay, these two books were written in this particular place, and these two books tell us that Ashok had to kill 99 of his brothers. He had to kill 99 of his brothers in order to become the emperor. Now, we cannot take this blindly. We cannot take this information on its face value. I'll tell you why. See, in one of my previous classes, মই এবাৰ আপোনালোকক বুজাইছিলো যে আমি যিকোনো ধাৰ্মিক গ্ৰন্থ যিকোনো ধাৰ্মিক গ্ৰন্থ আমি ব্লাইণ্ডলি ফ'ল' কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ, কাৰণ ধাৰ্মিক গ্ৰন্থবিলাকৰ এটা নিজৰ এজেণ্ডা আছে. They have their own agenda. And as long as we are reading history, we should always be mindful not to mix history with religion. Okay, so we have to learn the art of separating fact from fiction. Now the fact or this story that Ashoka had to kill 99 of his brothers, it sounds more like a fiction than a fact. I'll tell you why. Because see, these Buddhist texts like Deepa Vamsha and Mahavamsha, they seem to have had an agenda. Okay, they seemed to have had an agenda. What was their agenda? See, these are Buddhist texts. Since these are Buddhist texts, their ultimate agenda is to promote Buddhism. Any religious text, okay, any religious text, be it Bible, be it Vedas, be it Quran, they all try to promote their own religions. Nothing wrong in that, okay? There's nothing wrong in that. But now we are studying history. Okay, now we are studying history. So ami janibo lagibo how to sift through facts and fiction. Okay, now the thing is that, see, now we have to understand the real agenda of these two texts. Their agenda may have been, or their agenda must have been, to promote the tenets of Buddhism, to show that Buddhism is the best religion. Every religious book tries to do that. Now, since they were trying to show Buddhism in a good light, these two books, so in the opinion of most historians, what they are trying to do is, they are trying to give us two pictures of Ashok. The idea was to give us two pictures of Ashok. One picture, in one of those pictures, they tried showing Ashok as a brute, ruthless, heartless fellow who committed violence, who committed violence at the slightest of pretenses, who did not even think twice before killing 99 of his brothers. I mean, he was a very, very bad person, in simple language. And it is presenting, okay, it is presenting another image of Ashok. In this particular image, Ashok transforms himself into a completely different person after accepting Buddhism. He becomes a completely different person. He becomes extremely, extremely righteous and good after accepting Buddhism. So these are the two pictures being given to us by these two books. One picture is of Ashok before he became a Buddhist, and another picture is of Ashok after he became a Buddhist. And the picture of Ashok before becoming a Buddhist shows Ashok as a completely heartless and ruthless guy. As if they were trying to prove the point that, see, this is the transformation, or this is the effect Buddhism has on you. It makes you pacifist, it makes you non-violent, it makes you good. So on account of this, because of this factor, we cannot take these, we cannot take this piece of information blindly. So we cannot be very sure whether Ashoka had to kill 99 of his brothers. Anyway, killing 99 brothers is not a matter of joke, because these all must have been princes. So it's not easy. Even if we assume that Ashoka may have killed a few princes, 99 seems, too big a number. 99 seems too big a number to believe. Anyway, let's proceed further. Now, it is also said that, so after killing 99 of his brothers, Ashok finally sat on the throne, and he was also helped by a minister by the name of Radha Gupta. He was also helped by a minister by the name of Radha Gupta in his pursuit. While he was trying to become the king, while Ashok was trying to become the king, he was also helped by a minister by the name of Radha Gupta. He was also a Mauryan minister by the name of Radha Gupta. So very, very important. Okay, Radha Gupta's name is pretty much important. Now, let's proceed further. Now we are yet to talk about the most interesting part of Ashok. Okay, we are yet to talk about the most interesting part of Ashok. Now, let's talk about the most interesting part of Ashok, without which Ashok is largely incomplete. Why do you think Why do you think I used the epithet of Ashoka or the Great? Why do you think I used the word or I used the epithet of the Great after the name of Ashoka? Why is Ashoka known as Ashoka the Great? What makes him so special? What makes him world famous? What makes Ashoka an object of extensive research? Why so many historians have conducted comprehensive researches? Why so many historians have conducted, okay, why have they conducted deep researches on the life of Ashoka? Why is Ashoka, why is his life so interesting? What makes him so special? What makes him different from the other kings who belong to ancient India? Okay, this can be answered in one word. This can be answered in one word. In fact, two words. Okay, that is Ashoka's Dhamma. You can either call it Dhamma or Ashoka's Dhamma. I have called it, okay, I have written here Ashoka's Dhamma in order to differentiate this Dhamma from Buddha's Dhamma. There's a difference. Buddha also spoke about Dhamma, right? In fact, we consider Dhamma, Buddha and Sangha as the three jewels of Buddhism. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami and Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Okay, these are the three jewels or three Ratna of Buddhism. So Buddha also must have spoken about Dhamma. But Ashoka's Dhamma is not to be confused with Buddha's Dhamma. Ashoka's Dhamma is not to be confused with Buddha's Dhamma. Anyway, so the thing which single-handedly, okay, the thing which single-handedly makes Ashok world famous is Ashoka's Dhamma. Is Ashoka's Dhamma. Now let's go step by step. Okay, is what is Ashoka's Dhamma. Now we have to understand first, let's go step by step. Now first, let's try to understand the meaning of Dhamma. The meaning of Dhamma. Then I will also give you a couple of questions today. Okay, with respect to this. What is the meaning of Dhamma? Dhamma, see the word Dhamma, D-H-A-M-M-A, the word Dhamma has come from the Sanskrit word Dharma. This Dhamma is a Pali word, okay? This Dhamma is a Pali word. This Dhamma is a Pali word. In Sanskrit, we call Dharma. And this word is in use today also. This word is in use even today. But many of us confuse. Today we have taken it for religion. It does not mean religion. Dharma. It means what? It means social order. This word Dharma means social order. Social order. You know, from the Vedic times itself, it has been the duty of a king. From the later Vedic times, it has been the duty of a king to establish social order. It is his duty to take care of the social order. It is the duty of a Kshatriya to take care of the social order, to maintain a proper social order. So the meaning of, you know, now I am saying the literal meaning. Okay, I will go into the deeper meaning of Dhamma. I am saying the literal meaning of Dhamma is social order. Okay, now what is the deeper meaning? Now we need to go a bit deeper. Okay, now what was Ashoka's Dhamma all about? What was Ashoka's Dhamma? See, the other day I was talking about Ashokan inscriptions, right? Ashokan inscriptions, and I told you that Ashokan inscriptions are the greatest source of information. They are the most credible source of information with respect to Mauryan Empire. They are the most credible source of information for us when we try to reconstruct the history of Mauryan Empire. Now Ashokan inscriptions, okay, Ashokan inscriptions primarily, or Ashokan inscriptions mean what? Mean certain messages which have been left behind by Ashoka, and these messages were written by Ashoka. Okay, they were written by Ashoka, or they were written by Ashoka, or Ashoka made people. Okay, Ashoka made his people write certain. Ashoka made his employees. Okay, Ashoka made his employees write certain messages on rocks and pillars. So, to cut a long story short, Ashoka has left behind certain messages on rocks and pillars. He chose two mediums, rocks and pillars. All these messages. Now Dhamma is something. Ashoka's Dhamma is contained, or Ashoka's Dhamma is present in these messages of Ashoka, which he has left behind on rocks and pillars. Am I clear? Ashoka's Dhamma is to be found. Ashoka's Dhamma is to be found in these messages of Ashok, which he has left behind on several rocks and several pillars, which are spread all across India. Not just India, but also they are present in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. They are present in places like modern day Afghanistan and Pakistan. This is Ashoka's Dhamma. Okay, this is Ashoka's Dhamma, the messages. And what was Ashoka? What is Dhamma? What is Dhamma in its essence? What is Dhamma in its essence? Dhamma is nothing but a social code of conduct. Dhamma is nothing but a social code of conduct. Dhamma is nothing but a social code of conduct. Dhamma is nothing but a social code of conduct. Okay, Dhamma is what? It was a social code of conduct. How the people are supposed to behave. How the people who were a part of the Mauryan Empire, who were a part of Ashoka's empire, how are they supposed to behave with each other? How are they supposed to behave? How are they supposed to treat others? How are they supposed to treat other religions? How are they supposed to treat their elders? How are they supposed to treat their parents and all that? So that what was the intention? What was the objective of Ashoka? So that everybody can live peacefully. So that there is a certain degree of tolerance and harmony in the society. Now, this is the meaning of Dhamma. Okay, this is the meaning of Dhamma. Now, I will quote the names of two very famous historians. Now, according to historians like Romila Thapar and D.D. Kosambi, according to these two historians, very, very important historians, these two are two of the biggest authorities on Ashoka and on ancient India. Okay, these two historians are two of the biggest authorities on Ashoka and ancient India. Romila Thapar and D.D. Kosambi. Okay, you may as well write the names. Okay, you may as well write down the names of these two historians. Romila Thapar is still alive, but I think D.D. Kosambi is no longer amidst us. But she is still alive. She is very old. Okay, she is a very aged lady, Romila Thapar. So anyway, according to these two historians, according to Romila Thapar and D.D. Kosambi, the ultimate objective of Ashoka, or the ultimate objective of Ashoka's Dhamma, the ultimate objective of Ashoka's Dhamma was to achieve what? Was to achieve political unity and stability. Political unity and stability. Now, what is the meaning of political unity? Okay, first of all, try to understand what are they saying. They are saying that Romila Thapar and D.D. Kosambi are of the opinion that the ultimate objective of Ashoka's Dhamma was to, in a very short while from now, I will talk about the messages. What were those? What exactly is Ashoka telling us? What exactly is Ashoka saying in those messages? I will go, I will go through, or I will take you guys through those messages, through some of the very important messages. Don't you worry. But first, we have to understand. We have to understand the rationale behind Ashoka's Dhamma. What was the rationale? What was the logic behind Ashoka's Dhamma? The logic was to achieve, according to these two historians, the logic was to achieve political unity and stability. Now, what is the meaning of political unity? Unless and until you achieve political unity, you will not be able to keep all the powers in your hands. Political unity. Okay, now, why was it important to achieve political unity? Because the kind of empire Ashoka had, it was very, very diverse. There were different groups of people, there were different religions, there were different cultures, there were different linguistic groups, there were all people from all different walks of life, there were different people, there were groups from all different backgrounds, there were Greeks, there were, there were mainland Indians, there were Persians, there were Brahmins, okay, there were Buddhists, there were Jains, there were Ajivikas, there were Charvakas, and there were tribals also. and many more groups. Now, unless and until you reconcile these groups, unless and until you make these groups accept Ashoka as their rulers, unless and until these groups say that, okay, we accept Ashoka as our ruler, unless and until these different groups of people who are very different from each other, unless and until they recognize Ashoka as their legitimate ruler, how can Ashoka rule over them peacefully and efficiently? So it was very important for Ashok to iron out all the differences, to make them or to convince them to accept Ashok as their guardian, as their ruler, or as their cultural leader. Okay, and Ashoka tried to achieve this with the help of his Dhamma. And stability. What is the meaning of stability? Stability is very, very important for any government, for any king. Now, if these different groups, again the need for stability arose because of the same diversity that his empire was having. The same diversity evoked the need for stability. Ashoka wanted stability because when there is too much of diversity, sometimes the diversity is a very good thing. Every country should be a diverse country. Okay, and I don't think any other country is as diverse as India. So diversity is a huge asset of India, but the same diversity at times becomes a liability when communal clashes broke out, when ethnic clashes happen. So sometimes diversity can also become a liability, but we have to find a solution to tackle that. Okay, we have to find a solution. We cannot say that just because diversity becomes a burden at times, we do not want diversity, because diversity is what India makes world famous. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, like every other thing, diversity has also got a flip side. And that flip side is what? Diversity at times can give rise to certain problems like clashes, ethnic clashes, communal clashes, linguistic clashes and all. Okay, so Ashoka was also aware of this. Ashoka knew about the potential. Ashoka knew that if I do not do something from time to time, these groups will fight against each other in the name of all different things. And I want stability in my empire. And if they keep on fighting, if they keep on quarreling, okay, if they keep on quarreling over these petty points, then I as a ruler will not be able to rule very efficiently, because there will be no stability in my empire, in my kingdom. And every government wants stability. No government wants these clashes to happen. Unless and until they themselves are orchestrating those riots or clashes. That's a different thing altogether. That's a very modern day phenomena. Okay. Nowadays governments also orchestrate many things. That's a different thing. Okay, we are not getting into that. Now I'm saying every government wants stability. Okay, look at the condition of Pakistan. Why do you think the condition of Pakistan is so pathetic? Only because Pakistan has never had a stable government ever since it became independent. India and Pakistan achieved independence at the same time, exactly at the same time. Just a day ahead. They celebrate their Independence Day a day ahead of India. But look at the condition of India and look at the condition of Pakistan. Poles apart. So every government, every nation, every empire needs stability. So Ashoka was also trying to achieve political stability. So these were the two things. Which were intended, or which Ashoka wanted to achieve through his Dhamma, according to these two historians. Now, like I said, what was the need? By need, I'm talking about the same diversity. If I have to answer in one word, what was the need? What was the need for Ashoka's Dhamma? Ashoka had to come up with his own version of Dhamma because his empire was very, very diverse. Diversity was the need. Just like I said a short while ago, diversity was the need. Now, to give you guys an idea about how diverse Ashoka's empire was, I will just give a few points. Okay, for example, and Ashoka's empire was not just diverse. Okay, not just diverse, they were also they also did not have a sense of unity among them. They also did not have a sense of unity among them. So Ashoka also tried to tie them in one common thread through his Dhamma. Ashoka tried to tie them in one common thread with the help of his Dhamma. Now anyway, Ashoka, in the northwestern part, to give you guys, I hope you guys are getting me. Now I'm trying to give you guys an idea about how diverse Ashoka's empire was. Okay, how diverse Ashoka's empire was. In the northwestern part of Ashoka's empire, there were Greeks and Persians. Okay, in the northwestern part. In the northwestern part means I'm talking about modern day countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Then in mainland India, in mainland India, there were different religions. Okay, in mainland India, there were different religions. Mainland India itself can be divided into non-tribal and tribal. Okay, there were a lot of tribal people. There were a lot of tribal people who were living during the reign of Ashoka in parts of Madhya Pradesh and Deccan area. Okay, there were a lot of tribal people, and tribal people had their own rules. And this non-tribal people, largely, they followed what? They followed the Vedic rituals. They followed the caste system. So on the one hand, you have groups like Greeks and Persians. Okay, on the one hand, you have groups like Greeks and Persians which do not have something like the caste system, but their society was also divided. For example, the Greek society was also divided. Just because the Greeks did not have a caste system does not mean they were united. The Greek society was also divided. The Greek society was also divided in the name of what? Masters and slaves. Just the basis was different. The Greek society was divided in the name of masters and slaves, while mainland India, the non-tribals were divided in the name of caste system. The Vedic society was divided in the name of caste system. And the tribals had their own issues. They did not believe in the caste system, but they had their own issues. Okay, the tribals, they had their own issues. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make, here is Ashoka's empire was extremely diverse. Okay, Ashoka's empire was extremely diverse, and this is the reason why Ashoka had to come up with his own version of Dhamma. Okay, this is the reason why Ashoka had to come up with his own version of Dhamma. He had to tackle this diversity. Okay, he had to tackle this diversity. See, now, a short while ago I said that the Greeks were not united. Okay, the Greeks were not united. Mainland India was not united. Okay, I mean the Vedic society was not united. Now, what happens if a group is not united? As the famous English phrase goes, okay, as the famous English idiom goes, united we stand, divided we fall. So it was very important for Ashoka. Okay, it was very important on the part of Ashoka to promote a sense of unity among the Greeks. The Greeks have to be united. First, they have to be united. The Greeks have to be united. The Greek society has to be united. Before the Greek society can be united with the other people living during the reign of Ashoka. Are you getting me? If the Greek society itself is not united, how can you unite the Greek society with the Vedic society? The Greek society itself is not united. It is divided. So first, the Greek society has to be united. Similarly, the Vedic society has to be united first. Otherwise, Ashoka will never be able to achieve political unity. Because first of all, you have to settle your own differences before you go out to settle your differences with other culturally different groups or other religious groups. First of all, you have to take care of the differences which exist within your own religion. And that's what Ashoka tried to do. Okay, he tried to promote a sense of unity. He tried to take care of the divided societies of that time. And after that, he wanted to promote After that, he wanted to tie all these groups with a common thread of love, benevolence, and compassion. Okay, now that we know, now that we have an idea about the kind of diversity, now that we have an idea about the kind of diversity, now let's go further ahead. Now see, Ashokan inscriptions. Now let's talk about Ashokan inscriptions. Like I said a short while ago, where can we find Ashoka's Dhamma? Where can we find Ashoka's Dhamma? Ashoka's Dhamma can be found in Ashokan inscriptions. Where can we find Ashokan Dhamma? Ashoka's Dhamma can be found in Ashoka's inscriptions. And these inscriptions can broadly, okay, what is the meaning of Ashokan inscriptions? The messages which have been left behind by Ashok on rocks and pillars, Ashokan inscriptions. And these inscriptions and these Ashokan inscriptions can be divided into three broad categories. First is major rock inscriptions. First is major rock inscriptions. Okay. Second is minor rock inscriptions. And third is pillar inscriptions. In place of inscriptions, you can also use the word edicts. Edicts. Why edicts? Because the meaning of edicts is what? Royal announcements or royal proclamations. Since these messages were given by the king himself, so we can also use the word edict. So these are the three broad categories. Okay, these are the three broad categories. We can divide Ashokan inscriptions into three broad categories, and these are different from each other. Okay, now let's go one by one. Let's first talk about the major rock inscriptions. Okay, major rock inscriptions. Okay, now see, now what are some of the most important characteristics of major rock inscriptions? Major rock inscriptions, very, very interesting. Okay, the first, they are found where? Major rock inscriptions, or why? See, you have to understand. You have to understand one thing. Why have we divided them into different categories? We have divided them into different categories based on their different characteristics. They cannot have the same features, right? They have to be different from one another. Had they had the same features, if all the three things would have had the same features, then we would not have divided them into separate categories. Ami divide korisu mane ki tahator mazot olop holo parthokyo ase kiba kibi. Now we will focus on those differences. Okay, so anyway, first characteristic of major rock inscription is, where are they found? They are found in in frontier regions. Of Ashoka's empire or Mauryan empire bole likhibo pare. They are found where? Major rock inscriptions are found in frontier regions of Ashoka's empire. What is the meaning of frontier? Border regions. Ekebare border regions bilakor পৰা আমি উদ্ধাৰ কৰিছো. Rockot major rock inscriptions bilak hebilak inscriptions, junbilak inscriptions ba junbilak hilot mane likhit hua ase, junbilak hilot likhit hua ase, aur hebilak hil ami kor পৰা উদ্ধাৰ কৰিছো. Where have we discovered those hills from? Those hills have been discovered from certain areas which, according to historians, were the border regions of Ashoka's empire, extreme regions. Northwest, okay, northwest was the extreme region. Then we have recovered these major rock inscriptions from the westernmost limit, from places like Gujarat and all, again from places like Bihar, which was the easternmost limit. So extreme regions, ba ami hekane ko frontier regions. Kodo majot pua nai ami. We haven't found major rock inscriptions somewhere in mainland India. We have found them only in the border regions. Okay, we have found them only in the frontier regions of the Mauryan Empire or Ashokan Empire. Okay, keep this in mind. Then second, now the thing is that the major rock inscriptions which we have found, okay, those major rock inscriptions which we have found where those major rock inscriptions which we have found in places like, let's say, Gujarat, okay, or Rajasthan or Bihar or anywhere, you know, within or anywhere which is a part of modern day India. Mane, the major rock inscriptions which we have found from any place which today is a part of modern day India. Now Ashoka used a different language. Okay, Ashoka used a different language for what? Ashoka used a different language in the inscription. The point I am trying to make here is, in most of the major rock inscriptions, Ashoka uses Brahmi script. In most of the major rock inscriptions, Ashoka uses what? Brahmi script. Okay, Brahmi script and Prakrit language. What did I say? Very important. In most of the major rock inscriptions, most, not all, I will tell you why not all, Ashoka uses Brahmi script and Prakrit language. Brahmi is the name of the script and Prakrit is the name of the language. Now, let's tell you another very interesting thing regarding Brahmi script. This Brahmi script was unfathomable. Mane, this Brahmi script was decoded. We did not understand Brahmi script. This Brahmi script was decoded only in 1837. This Brahmi script was decoded only in 1837. Okay, it was decoded. Mane yaar agote ami bujhiye poa naslo Brahmi script ko. Tumhe decode korbo lagbo no? Like for example, till today we have not been able to decode the Indus Valley Civilization's script. So similarly, we were not able to decode the Brahmi script until 1837. Until 1837, we were not able to decode it. Until 1837, when it was finally decoded by by an employee of British East India Company by the name of James Prinsep. Okay, let me write it here as well. James Prinsep. James Prinsep bola manujone. This person by the name of James Prinsep, he was an employee of the British East India Company. He decoded the Brahmi script in 1837, and this is a very big event. This is a game changer, because the moment he decodes the Brahmi script, okay, what is the meaning of decoding a script? Decoding a script means, ever since he decoded this script, we came to understand what was written in these rock inscriptions. What was Ashoka trying to tell us? And immediately, this was the year is 1837. So India was under the British rule. So obviously, the Britishers for long, they were trying to tell the Indians that you Indians are good for nothing. You have always been ruled by outsiders. Now that this discovery has been made in 1837, people came to know about Ashok. People came to know about his achievements, because the achievements have also been recorded in these inscriptions. Okay, people came to know about how great Ashoka was as a ruler, and Ashoka was an Indian king. That thing gave the people of India a lot of confidence, and that confidence came very, very handy during India's freedom struggle against the British rule. This is the significance of this inscription. Other than the fact, this is the significance of this discovery, or this development, other than the fact that it also helped us know more about Ashoka. Anyway, so I was saying that in most of the Ashokan inscriptions, in most of the major rock inscriptions of Ashoka was using Brahmi script, in most. But in the major rock inscriptions which we have found in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, for example, we have found a major rock inscription in a place called Shehbaz Garhi. Shehbaz Garhi is a place in northwestern part. It is not in India today. Shehbaz Garhi. Okay. Shehbaz Garhi is not the only place where we have found a major rock inscription. We have found major rock inscription in a few other places also in northwest. But in all the places of northwest where we have found the major rock inscription, Ashoka has not used Brahmi script and Prakrit language, but Ashoka uses a different script. Ashoka uses Kharoshthi script. Kharoshthi. Please remember this name. Kharoshthi. Ashoka uses Kharoshthi script and the language is Aramaic. Okay. I hope I am clear. I am trying to say that Ashoka, in all the major rock inscriptions which were found, which were found in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent, not in mainland India, not in places like Gujarat, Rajasthan and Bihar. In those places, Ashoka is using what? Brahmi script and Prakrit language. Now I am focusing on the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. When Ashoka was, and so through these inscriptions, Ashoka was trying to talk to the people. So when Ashoka was talking to the people who were living in the northwestern part of his empire, he was using Kharoshthi script and Aramaic in the major rock inscriptions. Kharoshthi is the name of a script and Aramaic is the name of the language. And these two things were used by whom? Who was Ashoka using these languages for? Who was Ashoka? I mean, Ashoka must have given it a thought, right? Ashoka bhabi sinti ei duta choose korile script or bhakha. So who was he using these two things for? He was using these two things for whom? For Persians. For the Persians. Okay, we all know the Persians had come to reside in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, they had started residing ever since the Persian invasions. When Indus and Gandhar were a part of the Persian Empire. So ever since then Persians had been living in that part. Now those Persians or their successive generations have now become a part of the Mauryan Empire. Now they are Ashoka's people. They are a part of his people. Now Ashoka has to take care of them as well. They were a part of Ashoka's empire. And Ashoka has to address them also. So while talking to them, while addressing them, Ashoka was using Kharoshthi and Aramaic. Kharoshthi is the name of the script and Aramaic was the name of the, language. Okay, apart from these things, major rock inscriptions, we also have to know that in these major rock inscriptions, Ashoka talks about 14 things, or Ashoka gives us 14 messages, 14 messages. Like for example, he asks the people to respect the elders, to respect the Brahmins, to respect the Shramans. What is the meaning of Shramans? Shramans means wandering monks. Monks, Zunbilake, Athai pra Anthai loi, Ghuri fure, Shramans. Okay, in the major rock inscriptions, Ashoka also talks about appointing, a very, very important thing. Okay, listen to me very carefully. I will end the class now. Ashoka also talks about appointing a special set of officers by the name of Dhamma Mahamattas. Ashoka, in the major rock inscriptions, Ashoka also talks about appointing a special set of officers. Okay, where do we come across this piece of information? In the major rock inscriptions of Ashoka. Ashoka himself is telling us that I am appointing a special class of officers by the name of Dhamma Mahamattas. What is their duty? Their duty is to survey. Their duty is to travel all across Ashoka's empire and ensure that people actually follow Ashoka's Dhamma. That was the duty given to them. And if they found any anomaly, they were supposed to report back to Ashoka. They were supposed to report back to Ashoka, and they were given 24/7 access. They were given 24/7 access to Ashoka. Meaning they could meet Ashoka whenever they wanted. As far as the meeting was relevant from the point of view of Dhamma. If they found any anomaly, if they, for example, found that the people were not following Dhamma, they were supposed to report immediately to Ashok. And they did not, there was no need, okay, there was no need to fix a prior appointment. They had 24/7 access to Ashok. They could come and meet Ashok anytime they want. Okay, so on that note, I'm ending my today's class. We shall continue from this part in my next class. Okay, till then, take care and thank you so much.